So for about 2 years now, people have been begging me to read this webtoon, this elusive series that I've always put on the back burner. But now is the time. Now I thought it would be the best to dive in and finally give it a chance. I've seen the name countless times and never knew anything about it. And of all the times that I could have read it, I'm more than happy that now is the time that I did. This is by far one of the best reading experiences that I've had, and there's a lot of different reasons for it. The characters, the world, the story it's trying to tell, as well as music, surprisingly. Purple Hyacinth, through and through, from start to currently where it's up to, is something that I've had so much fun with. I was beyond captivated with everything, and I'm more than excited to talk about it. So with all of that, let's begin. So our story follows a character known as Lauren Sinclair, a young woman who is a very talented police officer. And there's a good reason why she's talented. Not only is she extremely hardworking, very intelligent, and just marvelous in every single department, she has a very unique trait, a specific quirk or ability that allows her to tell when people are lying. Now you might think this comes in handy when it comes to police investigations or interrogations, for example, and it does, quite tremendously. And this is the reason why once upon a time Lauren was a police detective. However, this trait, this quirk, this ability has a bit of a flaw. As much as she can tell that people are lying, this does not equal truth. This does not equal evidence. This does not equal a substantial amount of information that can put criminals and murderers and all of these disgusting individuals behind bars. So this would be a flaw for Lauren. She may be a very talented detective, but when it comes to interrogating, she knows people are lying. She knows people aren't telling the truth, but cannot provide the right resources to put them behind bars. Unfortunately, because of this aggressive nature and the hardships that this ability comes with, she gets demoted back down to being a regular officer, working with a bunch of other people. One very late night, she would get a call that a murder is taking place. And as she rushes over to the scene, the whole building, the whole complex is shrouded within confusion. No one knows what's going on. All of the police have arrived and they hear gunshots going off. Lauren manages to capture a glimpse of someone cascading atop of the roofs, and she takes chase. And while she's chasing after this one individual, her partners, her friends, go in to investigate the crime scene where this horrendous murder has taken place. And a trademark would be left behind, a purple hyacinth, a flower. This trademark would be associated with one of the most notorious and evil assassins within the town. Someone that has been killing for many years in some of the most brutal ways and has never been captured, and would always leave their signature trademark, the purple hyacinth flower. Unfortunately, they could not supply this information to Lauren, so at that moment, she is currently chasing after the most sought-after assassin within the whole city, one of the most deadliest. But Lauren doesn't go down without a fight. She manages to catch up to this assassin. She manages to tussle with him and bring him down on a face-to-face level, to dethrone him just a little bit, to bring down his ego. However, this assassin shows his prowess, and as he gets the upper hand and is about to finish the job in regards to this fight, he hesitates, he stops, and Lauren manages to get the upper hand again and pin him on the ground. This is when they would have a nice little conversation and would open up the story of Purple Hyacinth in its entirety. See, the conversation they have is directed towards a criminal organization, a terrorist organization, so to speak, known as the Phantom Scythe. These are a group of individuals that want to dethrone the royal hierarchy and want to quote-unquote liberate the people. However, the way they go about it is extremely dangerous. They're very violent, they will kill civilians, and it's filled to the brim with differing criminals, murderers, organizations, gangs, and assassins, especially this one that Lauren just captured, the Purple Hyacinth. However, it would turn out that the assassin would want the exact same thing as Lauren. They want to unravel the Phantom Scythe. They want to find out who this mysterious leader is, who is the one giving all of these orders within the shadows. And after a very complex situation, they come to an agreement, as Lauren's obsession with the Phantom Scythe now aligns with one of the most dangerous individuals within the city, and they team up. They start to work together. They somewhat put aside their differences while at the same time knowing how incredibly dangerous each other are. Of course, no one else can know about this. Lauren cannot tell anyone, cannot tell the police force. And this assassin, the Purple Hyacinth, cannot tell anyone either. They have to support each other, they have to supply each other information, and they would go under a brand new code name known as Loon. And they would start to hunt down very prolific members of the Phantom Scythe and hand them over to police with very scarily accurate and detailed information, which pings on the police radar. They don't know who is a part of Loon. Somehow they have so much incriminating detail that only someone within the policing force or higher up could actually obtain. But the group that is Phantom Scythe also acknowledge Loon and realize that they have to be eliminated. This would ultimately kickstart Lauren's journey into unraveling everything, to finding the truth, to finding out who Phantom Scythe is, and to see the deep dark world of corruption that is encapsulated everywhere, within the police force, within Phantom Scythe itself, and potentially even further. So this is the webtoon Purple Hyacinth. Hopefully this gives you a bit of a brief understanding of what the story is about. It doesn't do it justice. I promise you there's a lot more here. There's a lot more things you'll get revealed to, and I feel like it's part of the shock or the experience, so I don't want to mention them. But I had an absolute blast with this series, and it's been a while since I've kind of fallen so deeply in love with reading something, which is weird because I just finished Made in Abyss like a couple of weeks back and I felt something very similar, but I believe this story has overshadowed it. Come on. And that's not to say that it's better, or that's not to devalue Made in Abyss, but there was something so alluring to Purple Hyacinth. The artwork is extremely beautiful, super well drawn out and captured. The dialogue is fluid and natural and impactful. The characters are so well conceptualized and have this great dynamic and uniqueness to them. Everyone feels like their own individual person and barely overlap, and how they interact with one another is so believable. And then the pure, insane contrast between Lauren and the person that she's working with, the Purple Hyacinth, the most deadliest assassin within this city. Their relationship is so complex and convoluted and all over the place, but their emotions, how they talk to each other, how they interact with one another is so engaging. It is such a beautiful thing to witness, and watching it grow and stumble and backstep and all of these twists and turns that it takes is honestly such a joy to read. For me personally, there wasn't a single moment where I was bored, where I wanted to leave this story. I felt like I had to read everything within succession. You're either focusing on Lauren or the assassin, or both of them, how they interact. Maybe it's the other people as well. Maybe it's the everyday life of Lauren within the police force. Maybe it's the life of the assassin within Phantom Scythe. There's so many balancing points for this story, and how it interchanges between one another is almost seamless. And it's specifically because Lauren is living this triple lifestyle. She's working for the police force during the day, and then at night she's going out with this assassin under the name Loon and interrogating people, tying them up and handing them over to the police and disappearing within the night, only for her to return to being a police officer the next day. But then she's balancing both of these things with a very traumatizing past and an obsession that she has from it, something that fuels her policing career, something that fuels this idea of working with the assassin to begin with. See, many years ago when she was younger, a very tragic event actually happened that she was directly a part of, and she feels guilty for it. A very close friend of hers, a childhood friend that she loved, that she appreciated, would die in a terrorist bombing because of Phantom Scythe. Now she blames herself for this because she told her friend to go back to this one location. She didn't know it was going to happen. She heard these weird lies happening but didn't know the truth behind it. So when all of these people died, this immense amount of blame and guilt came across her. So for many years after, she searched for her friend that was presumed to be dead, that was killed in that event. But she also wants to uncover why it happened to begin with, who was a part of it, and she wants to bring them to justice. She wants to put them behind bars. She wants to make sure nothing like that happens ever again. And just how I described the story before, she's willing to get very dirty with it. It's marvelous. It's brilliant, right? There's something very seamless about reading this story. Everything just feels so well packaged and well understood. You go into it and you just unravel things step by step, and you'll find yourself 5, 10, 15, 50, 80 chapters into the story and still loving absolutely every single moment of it. Lauren is an incredibly well thought out main character. Very intuitive, very strong, but burdened by a past, burdened by guilt, burdened by the decisions that she made. She wants wants to not only rectify them, but to prove her worth. And she has this back and forth internal battle with herself because of the person that she's working with, because of the things that she is doing. She's hiding this newfound occupation, teaming up with an assassin to find out who the Phantom Scythe are, to uncover all of its mysteries, to uncover its leader. She's hiding this away from all of her friends. So that in itself becomes a stressor. But then the assassin himself is also very charming and cocky and alluring and has this mystery surrounding him. So there's a lot of tension there in itself. You don't know what he's thinking, what he plans to do, and he's very obnoxious in that sense. Because of them working together, you can see this overlap of chemistry start to form, where they don't necessarily start to show feelings for one another, but will do things in certain ways where they feel comfortable. And over time that builds, that grows, that becomes more intensive. And you're kind of sitting there on the edge of your seat waiting for them to potentially capitalize on it. Are they going to kiss? Are they going to hug? Are they going to romantically express how they feel? But see, it's not obnoxious. It's not something that instantly happens. It's not something that Lauren falls head over heels or vice versa with the assassin. It's very natural in its growth. It doesn't become the primary idea or the primary concept, but more so just a nice little sidebar, a nice little piece that you can latch onto if you want to. But if you aren't necessarily interested in it, you can decouple it completely. To put simply, brilliant character writing, brilliant showcase of emotions, and the artistry that goes into showing this off. The artwork is absolutely stunning. It gives you this full range and sense of emotion, this dread, this anxiety, this intensity, even on the most simplest of scales. Just the aura within the room, the artwork manages to capture it. And this is done within every single facet, but also within the comedic moments, in the more down to earth, into the more simplistic. It's a very great balance, and one that is very addicting. If you're not careful, you will binge through all of this without even realizing it. You will get lost within this world, within these characters. All the twists and turns that come with it, because there's a sense of mystery as well. Like the whole thing has this sense of who is who and what is what, and how much corruption is really cascading through everything. Is this person good or bad? Is there more to this person or this event? Is potentially the young child that Lauren lost, that she feels this trauma and guilt over when she was only a child, potentially still alive? Who is the Phantom Scythe? Who is running it? What is the real purpose behind it? It gives you all of these questions, but nothing that is too difficult to swallow, and will very easily cut it off when you don't need it. So the story kind of does all the heavy lifting for you. You don't have to ponder on all of these different ideas and feel overwhelmed with everything. Instead, it might give you one at a time, cut it off, and then move on to the next one. But it doesn't feel jarring. It feels purposeful, like it's serving a specific intent for this character or for this moment in time. I also need to fully thank whoever decided to put music within webtoons. I did not know this was a thing. Supposedly a lot of stories actually have it. So you can imagine my surprise when I open up the first chapter and music that is tailored for the chapter actually starts playing. It is dynamic music. It fades in and fades out when it is and isn't needed. It also has sound effects within there. You'll be reading it and scrolling through and seeing a massive crowd, and you'll be hearing it as well. You'll hear the faint pitter-patter of rain, or someone walking within the distance, or gunshots even. Some beautiful piano work, some very intense musical scores that just adds a whole different realm of emotional connection to this story, to this experience. If you want, you can read it without it. I know a lot of people don't like reading with music. I'm personally one of those individuals. I can't really read manga or webtoons with music, but because it is recommended, because it is dynamic and is meant to fit with what you're reading, it works so incredibly well. Like, I cannot express it enough. It is perfect because the songs, the OST, the ambient sound is all designed and created for these chapters. It's not just random stock music thrown in there. Someone has put the hard work and effort into creating a vibe and atmosphere for very specific moments, and it works to enhance it 100-fold. This is beyond a massive contributor to the alluring nature of Purple Hyacinth. And funny enough, it's only a side benefit for it. So at the end of the day, what you get is such a well understood, beautiful package of characters, of a world, of mystery, of love, chemistry, intensity, backed with such dynamic and interesting music. This feels like a passion project passionate story, with passionate artwork, with passionate music riddled all the way through it, that provides one of, if not the best reading experience you can probably have. And for me personally, it has 100% effortlessly reached that mark. It has quickly become one of my favorite stories, and there's not all too many webtoons that fit in that department, especially when you're competing with manga. There's 3 in total. The 2 before Purple Hyacinth was The Horizon and Bastard, and I'm more than happy to have this series in there as well. If you're looking for something that is more down to earth, that is more comprehensive, that is more in tune with a character's emotions and their mentality and the portrayal of the hardships that they go through, mixed with this mystery and beautiful building of relationships and the chemistry between characters, the webtoon Purple Hyacinth is 100% for you, and I fully recommend that you read it. If you haven't, you are doing yourself a disservice, and please read it with music. I guarantee you, you will love it. You will be very surprised with how much effort goes into the music alone, but how the artwork rotates around it as well, and how clearly established and passionate this story truly is. I am beyond thankful for the recommendations, and I'm sorry that it took so long, but I'm glad that I finally read it. I can only hope you have a similar experience to myself. Go indulge within it. I guarantee you'll like it. Endtime. So with that, welcome to the end of the video. If you have made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. To be honest, I love this story through and through, and I want to know how you feel about it. If you've read it, if you're interested in reading it, maybe you're caught up, or maybe you didn't really like it, maybe it wasn't your cup of tea, please let me know in the comment section below. But also, if there is another webtoon, maybe a handful, that you would like for me to talk about, do let me know. But with all of that, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Drink plenty of water, and I will see you within the next one. Goodbye.